Hi guys, and welcome to my podcast and drinking my coffee. So let's talk about Stoicism. These are my top 5 practical uses of the Stoic philosophy. Now I know a lot of YouTube channels have a lot of lessons on Stoicism, focusing on Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius. But I find after much of my study, a lot of the lessons, although they're fantastic, and they do have their own practical uses, mostly mental kind of states, to kind of help you survive day to day. A lot of the stuff is hard to remember, so it's good to kind of, for me, to minimize it all down into a certain amount of points that I can use day to day in any given moment, in any given conversation with any person, so you don't feel like the need to pull out your book on Seneca and try to remember the quote. So my first one is, live every day as if it's your last. This is a common quote used by many philosophies in different ways, and living every day as if it's your last applies to so many things because we have a short life. I know it feels like if you're at 17 or 18 you feel like you're immortal and you can't imagine that you're going to be 25 or 30 because to you that's really old, but life is so unpredictable. You don't know when it's going to be your time. It could be a car crash, it could be anything. It's so unpredictable. So it's one of these things where the philosophy tells you to kind of focus primarily on every minute, every second, every hour, every day, week, month, and value this time. Use it as practical as you can, focusing on your passions and getting as much life out of it as you can, because you don't know when it's going to end. And I know when you're younger, it's easy to kind of let time fly by. And I think it is somewhat of a stereotype. When you get to a certain age, time does become more precious because maybe there's a certain level of maturity that kicks in after, say, the age of 30, and all of a sudden you become hyper aware of time. I know this happened to me, so I can tell you from experience, it is a thing. You start to think about every hour, every minute, every second, and it can be a torturous mindset, which drives me on to my second lesson. Ignore what others are doing. Now, I know this is impossible. Ignoring people today is kind of impossible because social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything has other people's lives in front of our faces constantly. And the way these applications are developed, it makes you addicted. So you keep on going back to these applications, constantly checking on old friends, old girlfriends, and old colleagues and stuff. And you don't mean to upset yourself. All you're doing is surfing the internet and just looking up things. And all of a sudden you come across a colleague who, let's say, you went to school with, who's doing really well now. Now, the Stoic philosophy would say to ignore all this, to disconnect all social media, at least for a week or 2 weeks, and see how you feel. Now, I know from experience, if you disconnect from social media for a while, you will feel better. You will feel better. Now, this, of course, hinges on the idea that your whole social life doesn't depend on social media, which it does for some. Some people have their whole social life pretty much interwoven into social media, and without it, you start feeling very lonely. And this is the thing. In many ways, this lesson allows you to kind of evaluate or wake up in your own life so you can kind of see where you stand socially. And maybe it'll force you to go out and about and meet people in real life, face to face, creating real bonds with people where you don't need a social application to be connected. Because I feel this actually is one of the most important lessons for our generation. Because it's so easy to get lost in the social media stuff, or watching TV shows or reality shows, watching other people live a better life. It confounds me how people who, let's say, aren't doing too well in life will watch other people who are rich on TV living in fancy houses. It's just setting yourself up to feel bad about yourself, because when that TV show ends and you're left by yourself, you can't tell me you're not going to feel sad eventually. When it all goes silent and there's no mobile phone in front of you and you suddenly feel sad, well, of course you're going to feel sad. You've bombarded your brain with ideas and comparisons which were never yours to have. So this, I think, is a very important lesson, and you should use this time to kind of get to know yourself better. That's one thing you'll probably find very shocking. And when you try to not focus on other people, you end up focusing on the one person that matters, yourself. This moves on to lesson number 3. Your reality is made up of your own opinions or judgments or criticisms. So you'll find in any given moment, and how you react to a conversation or whatever topic is being talked about, your own opinions based on your life experiences will decide how you respond. So this lesson for me has taught me the idea to focus on an idea of non-judgment and non-criticism. Just because someone's saying something offensive doesn't mean you have to react to it. You can be somewhat indifferent to it. Now, there's a certain level of moral, should I say, virtue type mindset where you see something or hear something that's super offensive. Sure, you can have an opinion, but this is for moments which are important, not for everything. You'll drive yourself insane spouting out opinions and judgments and criticisms about anything that you hear or see because you just want to talk. And I find this in my own experience that I would just criticize things because I like to talk. Not because I had any real belief in it or any kind of, opinion on it. I'd invent an opinion in the moment just to be heard. And this lesson taught me to focus on concept of non-judgment, non-criticism. Because then you find you have really nothing to say about the thing that you thought you believed in, because perhaps you don't really have an opinion on the matter. I find this a very important lesson, especially with conversations. And you don't want to insult anybody. You don't want to spout your belief system on people, because why? This is one of the main things with the Stoic philosophy. It makes you somewhat indifferent to, or it takes away that desire to force your opinion based on perhaps emotion and no fact, or misinformed fact. And so you end up making a fool of yourself by spouting something in anger based on this opinion, and you end up being wrong and embarrassed. So I guess this lesson is to make you listen more. Yes. Focus on listening more before you talk instantly. If anything, you'll learn more, you'll empathize more with the person you're talking to, and it'll just make you more pleasant to be around. No one wants to be around a person who's constantly criticizing or judging other people. So yeah, lesson 3, your reality is made by your own opinions. This lesson demands you to listen more. Listen to people, more so than giving your opinions on things. Lesson number 4. Be grateful of your blessings. This is merely a gratitude lesson. Be grateful for what you've got. It weaves in with the whole thing of not thinking about what you don't have and what other people have. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the family you have. Be grateful for the friends you have, the job you have. Now, I'm not saying you have to be happy with it all, but be grateful with the abilities you have. And I find myself, as an artist, I would find myself focusing on the talents of other people. And this would make me ungrateful about the talents I was born with. Because you're always trying to be like somebody else, dress like other people, talk like other people, think like other people. And in the meantime, You're not valuing the things that you like, love, think about. And all it does is just damage you. Now, when it comes to jobs and career, you don't have to like your job. No one likes to have to like that. You don't have to be grateful for your job, but you can be grateful for the fact you have a job. Some people don't have jobs. And this is from my own experience, it's something I forget sometimes. You know, how important, how difficult it is to get a job in life. Things have changed since I was growing up, when you could get like a job every 2 or 3 weeks, just bouncing around. Now them days are gone. It's really tough just to get a simple job now. But this lesson for me is to become more grateful of the talents I already have. And by doing this, it allows you to focus more so on your own thought process and your own abilities, and you're allowing yourself to enhance yourself in a very unique way. So let's say you're a singer or a dancer, but you want to be, I don't know, an actor. But you focus so much on trying to be an actor because your friend is an actor that you end up not focusing on the talent that you really have, a dancer. So and then by the time you realize this, you spend so long trying to be like somebody else. You end up undervaluing your own abilities, and you're not grateful for the kind of the power that you were given from birth. Yeah, I think that summarizes that fourth lesson. And number 5. This is probably the most important one of the Stoic philosophy. Focus on what you can control. And don't focus on the things you can't control. Now, this lesson is very good for removing anxiety from your life. Because if you focus on every element of the things in the world that you have no control over, no financial pull, no political power, nothing that you can actually do to change it, then why think about it? Why let it affect your life day to day? Sure, you can be aware of it, but it doesn't have to affect you in such a way that it actually upsets you in a day. I suppose it's like thinking of it from this perspective, that you can control how you wake up in the morning. You can control how you can exercise. You can control what you eat. You can control what you do socially. You can control what you spend your money on. But you can't control someone else liking you. You know? You meet people may not like you. Now, as much as you want them to like you, you can't control that. You can't control their opinions, their criticisms, their belief systems. No matter how much you want them to like you, maybe you don't have that control. So it's one of these things where you have to kind of accept certain things out of your control. Now, there is ways you can overcome certain things. But however, in many cases, the Stoic philosophy makes this a very extreme thing. Letting go of the things, perhaps even dreams, because you don't have control over certain things, so you can't have your dream. But I think what it really means is, from a practical point of view, control your life to the point where you can literally not control anything. Push yourself to that limit where you cannot do anything more. You've got to that door, but you don't have the key. So you've done everything. You've fought the enemy. You've saved the girl. You've run down the bridge, and now you've got to the door. This door is the only thing you don't have a key for. So this is the one thing you can control. But everything else you have controlled up to that point. And this will allow you to kind of not feel so burdened by this grand plan, this grand thing that you cannot tangibly control in any respect, but you can control the things within your own life. And it even comes down to talents and abilities and career, because if you focus on, once again, comparing yourself to other people, and you want their skill sets, but you end up doing it so much so, like branching yourself out to control everything, You become good at nothing. So you must, if you focus on your talents and your abilities and become the best in that, in the area of which you can control, then perhaps you've got a chance to move out and become good at the other thing. Or maybe you'll discover that you didn't want their skills in the first place. You just wanted to be like them. You are comparing yourself to them. It's a slippery slope when it comes to trying to control your own life and comparing yourself to other people and trying to control that as well, to be like them or to have what they have. So yeah, these are the 5 lessons which I've applied to my life. And I must say, it does give you a certain level of peace when you kind of really let it become part of your day-to-day routine. And these are simple lessons, they're very straightforward. So just to summarize them again: live every day as if it were your last. Ignore what others are doing. Your reality is made by your opinions. Be grateful of your blessings. And focus on what you can control, not on the things you can't. And that's it, guys. That's my top 5 lessons on the Stoic philosophy. Now, I hope these lessons help you. I hope it makes the Stoic philosophy more easy to digest. And I hope it gives you a pleasant day. Thanks for listening, guys. I really enjoyed making this podcast. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.